For 300 cycles, Emperor Varian had refused every tribute brought to his obsidian throne. The galaxy's mightiest civilizations had tried everything. Crystallized starlight from the Luminary, temporal artifacts from the Chronothan Collective, even the legendary singing gems of Epsilon Prime that could reshape reality with their melodies. Each gift was returned, often with a plume of azure dragonfire that sent diplomats scrambling for their ships. The Dragon Emperor wanted nothing from anyone. His scales, black as the void between stars, reflected no light. His eyes, twin suns of molten gold, held no warmth. Once, perhaps, Varian had been different. Once he had ruled with wisdom tempered by compassion. But centuries of betrayal, manipulation, and empty gestures disguised as friendship had crystallized his heart into something harder than neutronium. He had learned the fundamental truth of the universe. Everyone wanted something, and their tributes were merely down payments on future demands. So Varian sat alone in his throne room, a cathedral of volcanic glass that stretched toward the stars, and refused all contact with the lesser species that crawled across his empire. The human delegation arrived on a Thursday, which was already a bad sign. Humans were a recent addition to the galactic community, barely 2 centuries since first contact, still struggling to understand the deeper currents of cosmic politics. They came in a modest ship, nothing like the grand vessels other species employed for diplomatic missions. Varian watched through his omniscient scrying pools as they descended, already preparing the flames that would send them away. But the humans did something unexpected. They didn't request an audience. They didn't demand the Emperor's time or attention. They simply landed at the designated tribute grounds, left a single small package, and departed. No ceremony, no speeches, no expectations. This alone intrigued Varian enough to examine the package himself rather than having it destroyed unseen. Inside the simple brown wrapping was a piece of paper, actual cellulose paper, something so primitive it hadn't been used in civilized space for millennia. On it, rendered in waxy sticks of colored pigment, was a drawing. A child's drawing. Varian's massive claw, each talon capable of rending starship hulls, carefully lifted the paper. The drawing showed a large black dragon with wings spread wide, surrounded by stars. Beneath the dragon, drawn in smaller scale, was a tiny figure with brown hair and a smile. Between them, connecting dragon and human, was a heart colored in red crayon, slightly outside its own lines. At the bottom, in careful but unsteady letters, were words in Standard Galactic. "Thank you for protecting us. From Lena Morrow, age 7, Orphanage of New Terra Colony." The Emperor's hand trembled. He activated his communications array for the first time in 50 cycles. "Bring me the human delegation. Now." The ambassador, a tired-looking woman named Chen, appeared within the hour, confusion evident on her face. "Your Imperial Majesty, we didn't expect—" "Who is Lena Morrow?" Varian's voice rumbled like continental plates shifting. Chen blinked. She's one of the children from the New Terra Colony, the orphanage there. After the Korvaxi raid 3 years ago, many children lost their parents. We've been rebuilding." I remember the raid. Varian did remember. He'd personally incinerated the Korvaxi fleet when they'd violated the treaty zones, reducing 300 warships to atoms in 47 seconds. He hadn't thought about the aftermath. He'd simply eliminated a threat to his empire's borders, as he'd done 1,000 times before. She drew this because of that? The children wanted to send tributes to various leaders who'd helped humanity survive its early years in space. Most of them made cards for Earth's leaders, the Galactic Council members. But Lena, Chen smiled softly, Lena insisted on drawing one for you. She said you saved her friends at the colony, even though you'd never met them, even though you'd never asked for thanks. Varian stared at the drawing for a long moment. The dragon in the picture looked fierce but not frightening. The child had drawn him with careful attention to his wings, had tried to capture the way starlight should reflect off scales even though her limited medium couldn't quite achieve the effect. She had drawn him as a protector, not a monster. When had anyone last seen him that way? "This orphanage," Varian said slowly. "What does it need?" Chen's eyes widened. "Your Majesty, we didn't come seeking. What does it need?" The Emperor's tone left no room for deflection. "Everything. Medical supplies, educational resources, structural repairs. The raid destroyed most of the colony's infrastructure. We're rebuilding, but it's slow. The children are safe and fed, but barely." Varian rose from his throne for the first time in decades, his massive form unfolding until he towered over the human ambassador. You will provide me with a list of everything required to make that facility the finest child-rearing installation in this sector. You will spare no detail and accept no budget limitations. Yes, Your Majesty. And Ambassador Chen. Varian carefully, reverently folded the drawing and placed it in a stasis field that materialized at his thought. Tell Lena Morrow that her tribute has been accepted. Tell her that the dragon protects those who remember that protection is its own reward, not a transaction. Tell her. The Emperor's golden eyes dimmed slightly, something ancient and painful moving behind them. Tell her that her drawing will hang in my throne room, where I will see it every day. And tell her that she has reminded an old dragon of something he had forgotten, that some hearts give thanks not because they want something in return, but because gratitude itself is a gift worth giving. As the ambassador departed, Varian looked at the crude drawing suspended in its protective field, already commanding his artificers to create a mounting worthy of housing it. The dragon in the picture seemed to smile at him, surrounded by its ring of carefully colored stars and connected to the tiny human by that imperfect red heart. For the first time in 300 cycles, Emperor Varian felt warmth kindle in his chest. Perhaps, he thought, not all tributes were transactions after all. Perhaps some were simply on gifts, given freely, expecting nothing but changing everything.